In this video, you're going to learn ZBrush from scratch and also be able to create this little monster I'm showing on the screen. Stay with me. Let's get started. So we are here in ZBrush. When you open it, this is going to be the first default UI and everything you're going to see. And the first thing you see here is a couple of tools, which is actually the light box. You can click here and turn it on or off. Later, we might need this when you're totally comfortable with ZBrush, but for now, we need to just make it disappear. Now, we have a document workspace that we are going to work with it. If you take a look at your mouse cursor, you can see it's actually seem to be working here. If you drag it, if you click and drag, you can see it's creating something like this for you. But this is probably not what you want to do inside ZBrush. It's actually painting something like in 2D. So what you want to do is first clear the canvas. And the way to do that is Control N. So once you hit it, it's going to be removed. Now, to create your first object in ZBrush, you need to go here to the side to this menu, which is the tool menu. This is exactly the same menu you have here right on the top. It's actually ducking here. And you go here on this S shape, and when you open it, you can see we have two different categories. One of them, the 3D meshes, the other one is 2.5D. So the first thing you did before this one is actually a 2D version, which we want to remove it. But we want to start with our 3D mesh. So I'm going to start with my sphere. A simple sphere should be fine. And now I'm going to click and drag, which is creating the sphere for me. Now, let's say if I'm going to modify it, I have something like a brush seems to be activated. When I click on this, it seems not to be working. It creates spheres whenever I click and drag. And this is happening because of a reason. We are not in the editing mode. So what we need to do again is to clear the canvas. So Control N and click and drag. We create this sphere. And now we have to go to this button, Edit Object, or the hotkey is going to be the T on your keyboard. So now my brush actually changed its color to something red. And now it seems to be, I'm in editing mode. So if I click on this mesh, it's going to give me an error. So if I read it, it's going to say, to enable the sculpting, please convert this 3D primitive to Polymesh 3D by pressing the button. So where to find this button? The button is called Make Polymesh 3D. It's actually right here. So click once to just make the error disappear. And right now, you can click on this. And if you make the click right now, you can see something is working. You can modify the brush, which I'm going to use the Control Z to make sure I'm actually removing the edit that I added. So I'm going to continue and show you how to navigate in your canvas. So first of all, you created a sphere. Now let's say if you want to rotate around it and see what's going on. If you click on an empty space in your canvas and try to rotate, try to move it, click and move, it's going to rotate it for you. So this is a rotation. Now, if you want to make the object to be panning like this, just moving, you need to hold down the Alt and click. So click alone is going to do the rotation. Click on Alt is going to give you this pan. And to zoom, it's a little bit tricky. It's not like any of the other 3D softwares. We get used to it, trust me. But at first, it's going to be a little bit hard. So you need to hold down Alt and click, just like when you do the pan. And once you keep the click, if you release the Alt, it's going to create the zoom for you once you drag. So that's the tricky part. Again, rotation, hold Alt, click, it's going to be pan, and hold Alt, click while you're panning. You can release the Alt, and it's going to make the zoom for you. So that's all you need to do to navigate around your model. And in case if you want to snap your views to a certain 90 degrees, you can hold on Shift and then do the rotation. So all of these needs to be happen on an empty space. If you click on top of the model, it's going to create something for you. And yeah, this is the basic of navigation. Now, let's say we are going to create our little monster. And I'm going to start with this sphere. So right now, I need to make this a little bit longer in its general shape. So what I'm going to do is to create a mask on top of this mesh and then make it elongated all the way towards the bottom. How do I do this? First of all, we need to be familiar a little bit with the brushes, and then we can talk a little bit about this one. So the brush menu is actually around here, and this is actually a lot of brushes that we want to work with, just a little bit, just a little number of them, not all of them. So don't get panic. Standard is one of them that you see the effect. This is selected by default. You can select it, and you can use any of your hotkeys to filter. For example, if I want the move brush, I can select the brush panel. I can use the B key on the keyboard to select it here as a hotkey, and I can select the M, the initial for the move, and you can see everything that is starting with the M is actually filtered around here. I want the move one, so I can click on this one, or I can use this little button, the V, which is the hotkey for the brush, and then my move brush is going to get selected. So right now I can move these parts based on the radius, and actually we have the draw size radius around here if you want to change it. So we can increase it, you can decrease it if you want, but the easier way is actually the shortcut, which is the S key on your keyboard. So you can hit S, it's going to bring something for you right underneath your cursor, and you can increase or decrease the size. I'm going to use this one during this session. And we can use different brushes, like clay buildup is another one that I use most of the time. So it creates something like a texture effect here. You can increase the intensity using this one. So the intensity is much. Right now I can bring this lower, and you can actually smooth this shape. Like if I create this and I want to smooth it, you can hold on shift and your cursor is gonna change into, the color is gonna change into blue. And if I draw now, I get this shape totally smooth. So this is a way to use smoothing in ZBrush. Do the Control Z to remove these brush strokes. And this is most of the brushes that I'm going to use. For the standard, I'm going to use the B, S, and T is going to create the standard. For clay buildup, it's going to be B, C, and B is going to be the clay buildup. So these are the shortcuts I'm going to use here in this session. And to create a mask on top of this object, you can actually do something else. If you hold down Control, your cursor is going to turn into a yellow color. And right now, if you drag, it's going to create something like a darker rectangle for you. And this is, if you release it, this is the way you create a mask. So right now, if I use my brush, which is selected already, and try to sculpt it, you can see the darker areas is not affected by the brush. So this is a way to create a mask on any of the objects, which is I'm gonna use it for the base of our little monster. And probably the last thing I'm gonna mention about before I go directly into what I want to do for the character is the gizmo. So what I'm gonna do here is that, let's say if I'm gonna move the whole object to this side or to this side, or I want to rotate it or something. Before I was navigating using the hotkeys that I mentioned, but if I want to move the object, it's gonna be using something called gizmo. And you can actually use the buttons here, move, scale, rotate, but the hotkey is actually gonna be the W key. You can see the hotkeys here, but all of them does the same thing. So if you if you actually press down the Q on your keyboard, you're gonna get back to the brush mode. So here you're in brush mode, you're sculpting, you cannot move it. You can use the move brush, BMV, and you can do this, but you cannot move the object right now. You can use very high radius, very big one to do this, but to move the whole object, you need to switch to the gizmo mode. And the shortcut is the W. And once you hit this, you create this one. And right now, you cannot sculpt on top of the model. You need to switch back to the brush mode, use the Q, which is a draw button here. You can see the hotkey, and then you can do the sculpting. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to mask this part at the bottom, and I'm going to invert the mask. How do I do this? I hold down Control, and I click on the empty side of this space. So you can see one click, inverted, another click, inverted. And to remove the mask, you can Control and release on the empty space. So I'm going to create this and I'm going to invert it. So right now I'm going to bring this part towards the bottom. So I switch to the gizmo using W key, or I can just go here and I can bring this a little bit towards the bottom. This creates something like what I probably want to use. So a base for my little monster. And I'm going to remove the mask. So hold down Control and drag a rectangle and release it. So now it's looking kind of close to what I want to see. The way you see I'm creating this kind of uh, like wireform, it's actually here. The button is the draw polyframe. So you can turn it on or off, or you can use a hotkey Shift F to do this. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use the move key to make this bottom part a little bit more fat. I want the top to be almost the same size that I have, and the bottom part to be more wide. So this is one way to do so, but this way probably I'm going to ruin my character. I want everything to be symmetrical at this moment. So I want what I do here on this side to be done on the other side as well. And this is quite easy inside ZBrush. You can go to transform and you can activate symmetry to do that, which you need to make sure you're staying on the right direction. So it's actually happening on the X axis, and this is the axis that I want to use. Or the shortcut is going to be the X key on your keyboard. So if I hit X, it's activated. If I hit it again, it's not. It's actually disabled. So I'm going to activate it because I want to work symmetrical to be more efficient. I create this, like add a little bit more volume at the bottom, and in the middle, actually I want to bring this down. So I want to have it more narrow. But when I click and drag, it seems like nothing is gonna happen. But why is that? Or why did I get something like this here? So right now, if I change my uh, view to the wireframe like this, I can see in the middle, I don't have any resolution. So I have a couple of meshes here. You can see these small polygons, but I don't have anything in the middle. That's the reason MoveBrush is not working, because it doesn't have anything to contract with it. To fix this issue quickly, to add more resolution to my mesh, there is a tool I can use inside ZBrush. Excuse me. It's on geometry here in the tool palette, geometry, and search for something called Dynamesh. And once you open this little Dropbox, you can see a resolution and you can see a button called Dynamesh. If you activate it, you can see it's just changed my resolution to something much more. But I don't want this to be this high. So I just do the Control Z. I bring down the resolution to something maybe 16, probably should be fine, and then hit Dynamesh. So right now it seems to be fine. And now I can actually do the Shift F to go back to the material mode, and now I can use my move brush to make this middle part a little bit more narrow, which is what I want to do. And I want to make sure the bottom part is almost the same from every angle, so kind of circular, and just bringing everything towards the middle. And I use the Shift key. So remember, it was a smoothing to smooth everything I created, because I don't want any sharp edges or any weird things to be happened. Again, holding down the Shift key, smoothing everything, just to make sure I have a good shape. So I'm gonna sculpt a little bit on the bottom edges. So I go to my clay buildup brush and use the S key to reduce the brush size, and I start adding some forms around the bottom part. So I want something like a belly around the bottom part. I don't want it to be sitting totally flat. So rotating and sculpting, just gonna create a nice shape for me. I like it more this way. And I don't want these areas to be totally flat like this. So if I am using a brush and it's actually building up something, what if I want to shrink it down like this? It's actually holding down the Alt key while using the brush. So if I just select the brush, drag it on top of the model, it's going to create this shape. If I hold down Alt on my keyboard and then drag it, it's going to create the exact opposite shape. So right now here on the edges, I want to bring down. I don't want this sharp edge. I hold down the Alt and I use the same clay buildup. You can see it's removing those edges for me, which is what I want actually. This works on every single brush actually. What it does normally, if you hold down Alt, it's going to do the opposite. And right now, in general, it seems to be fine. So I hold down the Shift key and I start to smooth everything, which gives me a general good look. So this is going to be the base for my little monster. And I think the resolution here is a little bit low for now because I got the shape and I want this to be more smooth. Right now, what I can do is to increase the size around maybe something like this should work. And nothing happened when I changed it. The reason is you need to remesh it. And you can do these two ways. One is going to be turning this off and turning it on again. Something happened. And if I turn this polyframe, you can see what is happening. It changed the resolution. Or the easier way is going to be once it's turned on already, you can hold down Control, which is the hotkey for creating a mask, and you can drag a rectangle outside your mesh in the empty canvas. And this action actually remesh totally what you have on your screen. So right now, I can't see I have enough resolution, but the mesh is kind of pixelated. So I hold on the Shift and I just smooth everything I have. So this is going to create a smooth round shape for me, which is what I want for my character. And now I'm gonna create some eye socket for the character. So I again pick the clay buildup, I hold down the Alt, and I start pushing this down till I get something nice at the edges. I want the big eyes, so this should be a good shape. I try to stay circular, and it seems to be fine. For now, I hold down the Shift, smooth it a little bit, which is something I want. And the base should be ready for me at this moment to add something on top of it. So what I'm gonna do from this point is actually adding some other shapes to it. So I want to add those little horn shapes actually on top. And I'm gonna give you the name of a brush, which is going to create this easily for us. So to add some shapes to your mesh, we have different ways. One of them is to add using a kind of brush, which is called IMM, Insert Mesh Brush. And I'm going to use one of them. You can see these. Doesn't matter which one. And I want to create something like a cylinder. So once I select it, it's going to create a couple of meshes here for me. And I select one of them. Doesn't matter. I want the cylinder. And here, if I draw, you can see a cylinder is gonna just insert there. So this is one of the ways to create this. So again, I try to pick a good spot, probably here. I draw, I want them quite small, so this should be fine. And I want to increase the size a little bit. It gets me this weird issue. And to fix this, you can actually push a button called L seam. This is actually local symmetry. So if you got this issue, you can turn this on and it's going to give you this option. So I turned on my gizmo and it's actually increasing the size for these two horn shapes for me. Notice that when I draw this insert mesh brush, it automatically masks the base mesh for me and just turn it on for the new mesh that I created. So it makes it easier for me to modify this. So if I want to rotate it, change its shape or anything, it's going to be easier this way. And I'm switching to the gizmo mode and trying to increase the size a little bit. Now it seems to be fine for me. So what I'm gonna do here is actually bending them a little bit. They're too straight. So I'm gonna check and see what kind of brush I'm using. It seems like I'm in the gizmo mode here. It's easily distinguishable. So if I use the Q button, I go to the brush mode, but remember I selected the IMM brush, so I need to change it to the move brush. So I select the move, increase the size, and just move it a little bit. I try to move it. I can't. And you know why? because I don't have the resolution. Remember what we had to do? We had to remove the mask. Actually, we had to do this. And if I do this, nothing is going to happen first. Why? Because I had a mask here, and this is removing the mask. Now, if I repeat it again, because there is no mask to be removed, it's going to remesh it for me. So see this? They're actually merged together, and I got the resolution for this one. And now I can move this a little bit to give this a little bit bendy shape. Now on top, I'm going to add the sphere to create the shape that I want. And I'm going to again use the insert mesh brush. So B is going to bring my brush to the screen. And again, one of them, and I can check to see if there's a sphere here. It's actually hemisphere. So I'm going to use the other one. This actually has a sphere for me. So I'm going to create this using, first I need to select it. And then on top of this, actually click and drag, and something like this should work. Again, you can see it create a mask for me. Now I can use the hotkey W to select and modify the new mesh that I created. Now I switch back to the brush mode and I click and drag, control, click and drag. It's gonna remove the mask. And now if I do the same again, it's gonna remesh it for me. You can see they are attached and I got enough resolution. So this is good so far. And the next thing I'm gonna do is gonna be adding another cylinder for the arms actually. So I select this one, I go to the side a little bit towards the bottom, I create this. It's a little bit too big, so I'm gonna make it smaller and I'm gonna increase its length this way. Remember, if you turn this off when you're doing this, because the symmetry is on both sides, it's gonna create this weird scaling for you. To do modifying using the gizmo on both sides, you need to turn this on, and this should be fine. So increase the length. I'm gonna rotate it, check from the other view, rotate it a little bit here, and it should be fine for now. So something like this. And I'm gonna go to the brush mode, use the move key, BMV, remember? I'm gonna bring this a little bit towards the body. I don't have enough resolution, so you know what you need to do? You need to click and drag using the control, again click and drag, and now you got the remesh. So now I have enough resolution to bring this a little bit towards the body. Maybe like this. A little bit. And I can smooth these areas, which is fine. Just to give it a better look for the arm. So again, what I want to do is to create something like a hand for the character. So I'm going to sculpt it. And to do this, I'm going to use the B clay buildup, shortcut BCB, and I'm holding Alt, working a little bit on this area to make it flat. You can see I'm removing the shape. I'm removing a little bit from the top to make it more like the palm of the hand. And I'm going to use the move key to give it a little bit of what I want to do. So first, I'm going to add a little bit of thumb, something like this, and a little bit of palm. Very simple shape. I don't want to go too much into details or to show you something like anatomy or something. So this should be more than fine. But right now you can see a little bit of weird triangulation or something is happening. It's because of the mesh. So I don't have enough resolution. To get enough resolution, again, hold on control, drag, you're going to get a remesh. So right now I get better resolution on the mesh, which I can work on the actual mesh. I'm gonna give it a little bit closer shape to hand shape. And this is gonna be more than enough. Again, trying to make a better shape for the wrist. Same for this side, but it should be good enough. So what I can do here is to give this character a little bit of form, but it's a little bit too soon for now. First, I'm gonna add something on top, which is gonna be the eyes, and then I'm gonna, as the last part, I'm gonna give it a pose to show you how it's gonna look. So to add eyes to the character, I'm gonna tell you something about subtools, which is something kind of a little bit maybe weird in ZBrush. This whole character that you're working right now is actually one subtool. And remember I mentioned to add subtools, to add a mesh into your character, there are multiple ways to do so. One of them was insert mesh, but there are actually other ways. One of them is subtools. So to add another mesh, which is going to be the eyes for me, I'm going to use this subtool button and the subtool menu actually, and insert button and insert sphere 3D. So I'm going to sphere one. I'm going to add a sphere to my scene, and the moment I add this, you can see it's created in the middle of the screen, and I can start modifying it. So it's it's not like the start of your character. You don't have to go all the way to the make polymesh 3D. Anything you add, you can directly modify it here. But on the other hand, if I'm going to work on this one, I'm actually clicking and dragging here on the model. I cannot modify it, but I can modify this one. So this is actually one of the key aspects of ZBrush. You can only modify one subtool at the same time if you're working in ZBrush. It's not like 3ds Max or Maya or Blender or other softwares that you can modify multiple things at the same time. You can see them. You can even move them using the gizmo with some specific techniques, but you cannot directly do the brush strokes or modify the other subtools. So you need to select them first, which is going to make it a little bit brighter for you. And right now I selected the base. I can modify it here, but now I can't modify this. This is actually the base, the shape underneath it. So on top of this, I cannot do any brush strokes. And right now, I'm going to actually select the eye that I created. This is going to be my eye. And then I'm going to make it smaller and add it to the socket. But before I go to do that, I'm going to give it the actual eye shape, give it some colors and everything. And I want to do this right at this moment. So first, I'm going to activate the gizmo. I'm going to rotate it, because if I select the polyframe, you can see this mesh resolution here is better compared to what I had before. If I rotate it back, it's going to be like this. So it's more circular. I want to draw here. It's more proper to do so. But at this point, I don't want to move it. I just want to do everything here, but I don't want the base mesh to be appearing here. You have a key in ZBrush, a button that it's actually helps you isolate one subtool, and it's here, this solo button. If you turn it on, the only thing you can see on the screen is a selected subtool. So what I'm gonna do here is to paint some colors on top. But how do I do that? So far, we saw brushes that all of them are actually doing actions on the mesh itself, but not anything about the colors. So first thing about every brushes you need to know is that all of them can draw colors or materials for you. This is actually a button called RGB that is not activated at this moment. That's the reason you don't get any colors when you're drawing. Because if you want to draw, you need the RGB to be drawn. So first of all, I'm going to select the brush because I don't want my clay buildup brush to draw accident colors. And I have actually a brush. It's actually inside ZBrush that BPA. It's going to be the paintbrush. By default, its RGB is activated, and you can see there is no Z add or Z sub. These are the buttons that helps for creating the mesh modification. So these are not added. So anything I do here on top of this mesh, it's going to create colors for me. But at this moment, if you check here at the left, the color is actually right on the white. So first I need to select the color. I want to create something like a kind of green, maybe a little bit lighter. I'm not sure. Probably something like this should be fine. A little bit dark, maybe. Yeah. And you can see once I select it, the whole mesh is actually turned into the green. And this is actually because of something like a preview. So before you add any colors, anything you select is going to be shown as a preview on top of your mesh. I can change it to like red or anything else, and it's going to turn into that color directly. But as soon as I draw anything, the color is going to change. Take a look. So the brush is selected, RGB is activated, and you can see the RGB intensity, it's 100 because I want the same color that I pick to be painted here. Now I go to the middle because I want the circular version, and you can see once I draw, it seems like something is happening. It's actually a preview issue. So I created a like green color in the middle, and the surrounding area is white, which is correct, but the other parts are green. Now, if I just move a little bit or rotate the mesh, navigate around, the error is going to just disappear and I can see. The moment I created the color, you can see that the surrounding area is remaining at white and keeping their own original color, and it's painting on top of the mesh for me. So what I'm going to do is just adding a little bit of green color inside this kind of small eye, and then I'm going to just use black color for the pupil, and I'm going to just draw here. If I'm going to go a little bit uh, more forward, I'm going to create something like bluish green, but darker, just to create something darker on the edges. Since it's an eye, I want to be a little bit more realistic. So this is going to be my base color for the eyes. And now I'm going to just click on this one because I don't want to be in the solo mode anymore. And you can see everything is turned into green because I didn't paint on other meshes and they are showing me the preview. So if I bring this back to the white color, you can see I still keep this paint and I can see everything else on the white version. Now I want to bring this eye that I created into its socket. So I actually select the gizmo using the W key, using actually in the middle, you see something called scale, and it's actually uniform scale in all directions. It's in yellow, so you can do this, or you can make it solo and just do this. And I need to move it. It's inside my mesh, and I bring it forward, and I move it again, just to make sure it fits in the area that I want. So a little bit to the midline, rotate it, so I don't want it to be looking forward, and a little bit like this. This should probably work fine. And here again. So this is one way to create this eye. Now I want it on the other side, but I don't want to mirror it. I actually want to bring this by hand because it's actually giving me the option to change its direction without any kind of having them in a symmetrical way. So to do so, it's quite easy. You can do two different ways. One of them is to, once the subtool is selected, come here and just hit the duplicate button. This is going to create another version for you, and you can just switch to the gizmo, bring it here to this side, and just do this. And I would like to reduce the size on this one just to give the character a little bit more charming effect. So probably the direction can be a little bit different. It's going to make it more interesting in the look. Maybe it's looking at the same direction, but a little bit towards the bottom. And change the shape a little bit. So again, going to the using the Q to go to the brush mode, it looks fine to me. But now I want to colorize the other parts of the mesh as well. But I need to, first of all, make sure everything is looking good in its general shape. So I think I'm fine. And I'm going to give it a color on the other mesh as well. And also, I want to change the materials. We didn't talk about materials and what are them. So we created these eyes, but they seem not to be looking like an eye. The eye is actually wet, and it should have reflective surface on top of it. But we don't have anything like this. Everything seems to have the same plastic material. And here on the left, there's something called material palettes. And you can see a lot of different materials that work for us. We can select them. Let's say the gold, I can select this one. And once I select it, everything is actually going to show me the same kind of material. And the material actually working the way colors were working. So anything I select, if I don't apply it, it's going to be showing me as a preview on top of the whole mesh. So in order to have different materials on different subtools, you need to actually apply them. But how do we do that? First, I'm going to select the proper material. I want something like this toy plastic, which is reflective. You can see it's quite proper for the eyes. And I want to apply this to the eyes, but I don't want this to be applied to the other meshes. So how do I do that? I select the subtool. So I select this eye actually. And again, I'm going to select this paintbrush that I had. So right now, I want to check my actually buttons here on the top. Z-add or Z-sub, I mentioned these are for the form changes. RGB is for the color. So I have two other buttons that we didn't talk about so far. There is another button called M, which is material channel, and there's another one called MRGB, which is material and RGB channel. So if you want to paint material and the color all together, you need to turn this one on. But right now, I just want the material to be changed. So I don't want the color to be messed up. I select the M, and I have the material to be selected as well. Now I can either paint on top of my mesh, but it's going to be a waste of time to just draw on top of this. I want the whole mesh to get the same material. To do this, I can go to the color here in the color menu, and there's a button called fill object. If I select this, now, nothing happened here because everything was actually the same that I selected, but let me show you. I actually did that to apply the material on top of this eye. Now, if I change the material to the gold, you can see this one got the material, but the other parts of the mesh didn't. So if I change the material right now, I can actually keep the same I had on this eye. Now, let's go on the other eye and apply the same as well. So I'm going to select the toy plastic, which is the cool material for me. Now I'm going to show you what happened if I select MRGB instead of the M. And right now, if I go to the color and push down the fill object, you can see my color actually messed up because I told ZBrush that I want you to draw the same material and the color that I selected to be applied on top of the mesh. So my color is white, and it applied this to the whole mesh, which messed up my paint information. So I'm going to use Control Z, and I'm going to turn off the MRGB. You cannot turn it off this way. It's actually better to just switch it to something else, because if you turn it off, suddenly you might see you're having a brush that doesn't do anything either with the colors or the forms, and you might get confused that what's going on if it's an error or something. So select the M, which is material, go to the color and fill object. Nothing happens. We know it happened actually, and I can change the material to something else like the gold, and now I have all the eyes with the same material. Now I want my character to be something else other than this plastic look. I want this to be more like maybe this skin shade probably look better. Still plastic, but give me a better form for this character. And I want to apply kind of color to it. So maybe I select this color and bring it a little bit towards the bottom, more saturated, like this maybe, and a little bit more towards the yellow. I like that color. And now I want to apply that color to this mesh. So how do we do that? We actually talked about this before. Now I want the color and the material to be applied to the character. The answer to this is applying using the MRGB. Again, open the color, fill object. Actually, I was selecting the wrong subtool. So I select the correct subtool, which is this one, and I have all my brushes set. Color, fill object. Now, even if I switch back to something like this, still it's going to keep the same material for me. So doesn't matter which one I select, I still have that one. So the color is done, the character is done as well. Now what I'm gonna do is to add a little bit of posing to the character itself. And I don't want it to be looking straight like this or sitting straight. So to do the posing on the character, we need to modify the whole. I want to just bend the middle area a little bit and have the character looking a little bit towards one of the sides. But remember, if I want to modify the body like this, I cannot do this. Like if I turn off the symmetry because I want to bend the character like this way, I cannot modify the eyes because I can only work on one subtool at the same time. How can I pose this character? It's going to be a disaster moving this first and then try to modify the eyes. So again, ZBrush has something for us to do this kind of posing. And you can go to the Z plugin. There's a plugin called, it's actually default installed by default. And you can go to the transpose master. There's a button called T-pose mesh. You activate it and you get this kind of message on your screen, and you have your whole character like this. And if you switch to the wireframe mode, Shift F, you can see it right now. you have one subtool and everything is actually included in that one subtool. So right now we can modify everything. And I actually can change the color to the white. I can use my mask because I want to mask the middle part, and I want to bend this character from the middle. So I create this, I actually bring this gizmo here, and right now I want to bring this gizmo towards the middle because I want to rotate it. But if I do this here like this, the mesh is going to be modified. To move or rotate the gizmo without affecting the mesh, you can actually hold down the Alt key, or you can just click on this button here on this lock and unlock it. Once it's unlocked, you can move it and it doesn't affect your mesh. I can bring it here and just lock it back. Now it's moving, but now it's creating a sharp edge for me. I don't want this. I want it to be more soft. To do that, I need to soften my mask. And the way to do that is easy. So once you created a mask, hold down Control again. And remember, if you click on the empty screen, it was creating a kind of inversion for you. So it's inverting the mask. Now, if you do the same on the mesh, it's going to soften the mask. So you can repeat it multiple times. And you can just go here, click to invert it, then go back on the mesh, do the clicking again. So I'm still holding down the Control, and you can see it's making it quite smooth. This is what I want. So we can smooth it both ways. Right now it seems to be fine, but I want the upper part to be moving. So I switch back to the gizmo and I do a little bit of rotation like this. And I want the character to be rotated like this as well. This should be fine. So this is working good. And on the other hand, I want the arms to have a little bit of pose as well. So what I do is to use the mask to work on these areas to see what I can get. First, when I just hold on the Control, I can see it's a rectangular mask. It's going to be quite hard to create any masking here in this area. So maybe I have a better tool to create these masks, and ZBrush actually has this. If you hold on Control, and you can see once I hold it down, the brush is changing to the mask. So if you open this brush, it's going to be showing something different. If you hold on Control and then open this, it's going to show you different tools. And these are all the different masks, the tools to create masks for me. And I want mask lasso. If you work with Photoshop, you can see what I'm going to use here. So lasso, when I select it, and right now if I hold on Control and start dragging, it's no longer creating the rectangle for me. It gives me a lasso tool, which is something that I want. So I want this as my mask. So I create a mask and release it to create this. And I hold down Control, click on the mesh to soften the mask, invert it again, click on the mesh to soften the mask. Now I can do any kind of modification I want. So I want to bring this gizmo to this part. So I hold down the Alt key or unlock this, and I bring this here. And I check from the different views to make sure it's right in the middle of the arm. This should be fine. Now I see this a little bit off the axis with the rotation. So because it's unlocked, I can rotate it as well to make sure it's at the same direction that I want, maybe like this. And now if I lock it back, I can actually make a kind of rotation like this. And if I use this white axis, it actually gives me a screen base. So I can bring this here a little bit towards the body. So this is something that I want for now. I can use my move key using the Q. So going back to the brush mode, BMV, and I can modify some finishing touches on the character itself. Like this, adding a little bit of form here. I can even remove the mask just to give it a little bit of this shape, or maybe bring it back. So I don't want the body to be modified in this area. And just making sure it's kind of close to the body. Smoothing this area a little bit. So any kind of modification can be applied to the character. And on the other side, I actually want to mask this little half in the middle and try to smooth it by doing the Control click. And I want to bring this gizmo. Remember, Alt key, if you hold it down, it's going to create this unlocking for you. I'm going to bring this here, and I'm going to make sure the rotation is sit on the right axis like this. I'm still holding Alt because I want this to apply it on the gizmo itself, not on the actual mesh. And right now, I just want to do this kind of action. So I release the Alt. I want the arm actually to be doing this, and I want to rotate it a little bit as well, like this. And because I know the arm is not going to rotate totally from here, I create another mask because I want the shoulder area to be rotated as well to make it more realistic. Now I bring my gizmo here and change the rotation to this one, and this should be fine. So right now I can do this to do this kind of rotation as well, just to give it a better shape. And release it to remove the mask. Now I can smooth this area because it's creating a weird shape for me. I want this to be totally normal. So hold down Shift, drag it, create this smooth shape, which is something I want. And there you go. This is the type of thing I wanted to create. And now that everything is done for the posing, for everything, what I want to do is to bring back my colors, everything I had, and the same subtools that I was working. So to do so, again, you need to go to Z plugin, same transpose master, but this time that you modify it, you need to actually push down the other key here, T-pose subtool. This is going to create what you had and apply all those modifications you did, the posing, to your actual character. So you can see I have the eyes separately. I can actually make them solo and the character itself. Now I have my whole character as well on the screen, which you can see this. If I want to add more realism to this, I can actually just create, like, pick something a different color, maybe a little bit more yellowish or maybe a little bit more darker, probably on the edges. And I can, again, using my paintbrush with a very low radius, and I want to make sure I'm drawing on the RGB channel. I don't want to modify the material. I create something like an edge around the eyes. A little bit darker, but it's going to create something like a feeling to this character for me. Same on the other side. So this is what I create at this moment. You can see it's adding some colors. You can even add like darker color here on these horn shapes. And yeah, just to give it a little bit more better view compared to what we had before. You can do this on the bottom as well, or even in the middle to add a little bit more darker areas. So we are playing with the color, not only the form, but it's giving us a little bit of better look actually. And this is going to be the way to create your first character in ZBrush using the easy tools. So even though you have a lot of buttons, everything on the screen, you see with the use of just a few tools, we created our first character. And believe me, to create your more sophisticated characters, you still use these same tools for like 80% of the time. It's going to be very a small percentage of use for the other tools, especially for the brushes. You have a lot of them, but those brushes are the ones that you use most of the time. So that's it. If you like this video, we have a lot of full courses on our website, nexttut.com. Make sure to check it out. Thanks for watching.